It's Thursday night. You know what that means. It's time for Magic and Martinis. Please welcome your host, Scott Wells.
Oh, hello and good evening. Thank you all, one and all. I appreciate everybody coming in here then this evening and joining us for a little evening libation since we can't be together in the real world yet. Hopefully it's getting closer and closer where we can. But in the meantime, we're just enjoying a little virtual happy hour. So if you've got one, cheers to you, each of you. Have a little vodka martini as usual with 3 olives. Happen to love that stuff. Now, as we start to get started, we got a bunch of stuff we're going to be talking about here then this evening. But before we do, I want to welcome just a couple people who are coming in. As always, it seems like one of the first guests we always have. And here we are going to be celebrating our 39th week tonight with the Magic and Martinis virtual happy hour. And I want to say hello to John Custer from Michigan. He's always here with us. Thank you, John. Hello. I'm glad that you're here. And Phil Mann had made it over. Yep. You made it in this time, made it in time. Hello, and you got the glass in hand, so we're ready to bring on the show. Indeed, we are. And also to Ron Sidnick, I want to thank you very much. Notice what he's done over there. He's actually right over there. He's put a picture of Denny as his profile picture. Today, as you know, is, or maybe not, it's National Denny Day. And so we are celebrating that by having some people who had worked with Denny, and we're going to talk with them here then this evening. But I had asked everybody to please go out and change your profile pic for at least 24 hours. Do a 24-hour temporary profile pic change. And we've had hundreds and hundreds of people who didn't do it, but we have a few who did it, including myself and Ron. So thank you very much for doing that. Kirby, my friend, Kirby Van Birch is back over here. We had him on a couple weeks ago, and I love that man. And he is residing here in Houston then now. Kirby, good to have you here then with us as well. And Ron, indeed, cheers to you, my friend. And John Sturck, and cheers to you. I love that man over there. Cheers to you up in Chicago then, John, who is working his way up the ladder with the SAM National. Cheers from Wayne also. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. And we have then David Rohan also. Cheers to you. And here in Houston, I've got then my lovely PJ Compagnon. Looking forward to the session from Houston. She's just across the way. And let's see what we have. Dan Sclair. You know, I got some really good stuff I want to show you, Dan, here a little bit later on, which includes, let me show you something really kind of cool before we go on a little bit further. You will appreciate perhaps more than most. And that would be a picture of a couple of wands that Don Weiberg had made for me. Is that kind of cool there or what? I'm going to show you another one over there. If I can get back over to it for just a second. That was the end of one of them, the tip of one of the wands that Don had made for me. So thanks for helping to work with him over there. So yeah, good evening then, Dan. Thank you very much. Also from California, Jesus Berden, thank you very much for being with us here. And another from guest up in Michigan, up in the cold country. It's Harriet. Hey, Harriet. So glad, my love, that you are here then with us, joining us again tonight. She was actually live with us last week, so thank you again. And so, yeah, they're small. Excuse me over there. Dan, thank you. I'm glad that you like the wands. Please be sure to tell Don Weiberg that you like them then too. So yeah, that's great. So as I was saying, that tonight we're going to be having just some very interesting guests who are going to be talking about the life of Denny Haney, and because there's a new book that was out, so we got the author and also some people who had worked with him. The reason we were calling this National Denny Day is because I started off this morning with a podcast episode, number 601 of the Magic Word Podcast, and we featured these three people, and we're closing out the day with that as well. So kind of like all day long, different people would be posting some memories and whatnot then of Denny, as well as having these guys kind of to start the day and to finish the day. And then afterwards, we're going to start a new feature here. That's the magic behind the movies. A buddy of mine who is a fraternity brother of mine, Tom Blomquist, used to be in Hollywood, scriptwriter, director, producer, author. He's one responsible kind of behind the scenes for the A-Team and Walker, Texas Ranger, just to name a couple, several Hallmark movies and things like that, who's going to be talking about the magic behind the movies. And so it's something I think would be of interest, not just to film buffs and television, people who like that, to understand why it is that we enjoy the movies, what is the magic that makes the movies, but also how we can write better scripts. What is it that we can keep our audience entertained and invested in watching our shows as well. So that's going to be coming towards the end of the show. And he also, as I said, is an author. And so we'll be talking about a book that he's got up over there. Let's see who else. Somebody else had jumped in over there too. We had, hello, Sean Redmond from Philly. Glad that you're here. And you probably noticed Mark D'Souza, as you noticed his voice from Philly, who had introduced us to begin over there then too. Hey, there's Don. Hey, you bet, buddy. Showing the wands. Thank you so very much. They're beautiful wands. And I didn't mention, but the ends of the wand also are magnetic, which is kind of cool as well. And I've got better skin. It's all lighting. That has to do with it's a magic movie or movies of magic of movies, as I was saying. Okay, Phil. Okay, let's get started. We got some people to bring on, and I'm going to start with the person who had worked. One of the people who had worked with all these guys worked with Denny. But we're going to bring out our first guest in really no particular order. But this little promo will tell you just a little bit about him.
Howard, in front of you, I have a handkerchief. This came from the last round. Can you autograph it for me, please? Great. Everyone, do me a favor. From this point forward, please do not take your eyes off the handkerchief.
That you can step it up and make things bigger. I say well done.
The whole performance was flawless, absolutely flawless.
I could not see the trick. That's what I love about magic, is when I can't figure it out and you're watching it and you levitated somebody, she disappeared, the handkerchief flew. It was truly a great magic act.
And there he is, Mr. Puck. Hey, Malcolm Puckering, how are you, man?
Good, man. Cheers.
Cheers to you. What are you drinking there tonight? Got a little bourbon going?
Yeah, a little Maker's Mark.
Maker's Mark. Good for you. You might notice I tweaked your video just a little bit there.
Yeah, I love the music.
Thank you. Well, it is not copyrighted or trademark music, so this way, hopefully, whenever this shows up later on YouTube, there won't be any issue or anything with
definitely.
that. Which was what I was a little bit concerned about over there. All right, let's bring in our second guest then over here, someone who has been working steadily, it seems like. It's got a great show that's out in Las Vegas, and this will tell you a bit about him.
Some things are difficult to explain, that though it would be hard to scientifically prove, I think everybody here in this room would be able to agree that on some strange, mysterious level, that we are all invisibly or mysteriously connected to one another.
I can never figure it out. It just blows me away.
Oh my God, he's not. Right. So wait, did I miss it?
I was confused. Yeah, I was like, what just happened? I heard everyone giggling, and I was like, what? Did I do something? I didn't know.
I think it's awesome. I think he's awesome. It's not your typical show, and that he is the real deal.
He's very natural. He's very relaxed. He's got a great sense of humor. He's able to see the irony. He's also able to recognize the chances that he's taking and teasing us with them.
And likewise, I added a little bit different music towards the end of yours as well. Hey, Alain, how are you, my friend? Oh, you got it. You're muted. You're muted. Can't hear you. There we go.
There we go. Can you hear me better now?
Much clearer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, good.
Cheers. So glad that you're here. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a root beer because it's before my show, and I can't drink before my show.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that you got another gig after this thing, don't you?
Yes, I leave in about 50 minutes.
Yeah, you are in Vegas right now. Is that right?
I am.
And you're working. What's the name?
This is my new apartment in downtown Las Vegas. I'm very excited about it.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Just real quickly, I want to bring up to date a few other people who are here. I want to say hello to my son, Sean. Howdy. He always says howdy because that's what they say from Texas A&M, where he graduated. And Mike Miller, I love the book. He can probably say that again later when we bring on the author as well. And all the way from Laguna Niguel. Hey there, David Harbor is there. Greetings to you. And Jeff, you're in Connecticut. Thanks for being here. And Sean, I'm sorry. Sean Redmond's having an Irish whiskey. And Wayne was wanting to follow up, I think, there with Puck as far as when he misses you. Wonder why you weren't drinking that.
Miss you too, man. Yep. See you next month. Yeah.
As Wayne says, he's got to pace himself. It's only 5 o'clock there in LA, I guess. And so Ron's excited to see you. Mr. Nu. Hey, he's here. And so greetings again from Sean. So let's bring in then our third and final guest. We kind of round this out to before we so we can get this party started officially with the author of the book. And here he comes.
Scott Alexander is a one-of-a-kind phenomenon. He has thrilled and delighted millions across the globe with feature appearances on America's Got Talent, the Sci-Fi Channel, and the Oprah Winfrey Show. Scott Alexander is a man of many talents, entertainer, speaker, mentalist, and master of ceremonies. It is Scott's charismatic style with a winning combination of original presentations that are helping meeting planners win big. Scott's Comedy Magic Show is excellent for the lighter moments of your program. It's perfect as an early morning energizer, light after dinner entertainment, or a refreshing boost in the middle of an awards presentation. Eric Poole of Caesars World Entertainment says, as the primary talent coordinator for Caesars Palace, I have witnessed hundreds of magic acts, and only an elite few can compare to Scott. Scott's humor was recognized by his peers as he earned top honors in his field as the recipient of the prestigious Senator Crandall Award for Comedy. His comedy magic show dazzles, delights, and enthralls audiences, combining his quick wit and laid-back style. LA Magazine says his light-handed approach to magic is one of playfulness, and the audience totally eats it up. The LA Times says his style is hip, laid-back, and refreshingly casual.
Did you feel it? Let's show him that you now have the ball.
Oprah Winfrey wrote, "It was a pleasure having you on the program. The magic of your words touched many, and we look forward to your next appearance."
I know, it's so weird, yeah.
Wow, there he is.
No, I gotta hide it somewhere. I gotta hide it because I gotta go on a podcast.
Hey,
all right, I'll just get rid of it.
Hey there.
Oh, hey, oh, sorry. Oh, hey. Oh, you're live. Hey, how you doing?
We're live now. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So damn corny.
Thank you.
You must have been doing some really heavy drinking over there, I think.
Oh, yes.
Now you got to go hide a body.
I know. It's terrible. All right, here we go. We are ready to go here, everybody. We're going to fill that up to the brim. There we go. All right. Nicely done. A little whiz-key. A little whiz-key. All right.
Whiz-key. Oh,
there you go. All right.
That wasn't one of those joke things that Denny sold at his shop, was it?
No jokes in the Denny and Lee Magic Studio. No jokes. No dog crap. No rubber chickens. No. Only the finest. Only the finest.
Just magic.
That's right.
Oh, my.
Just magic. But no crap.
That's right. Just magic, no crap. All right. I'm here.
Oh my God.
Well, you're here, but
I just came to the show, so there you go.
Jim was just wondering when you're going to be getting back to comics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a new name for you, Scotch Alexander.
There you go. Correct. Thank you. That's what Peter Galinskis says. Scotch Alexander. There you go.
And also, there's no pig poop there tonight.
Not tonight. No pig poop in the shop. It's only virtual pig poop.
Well, I think everybody really loved the story you told in the podcast this morning about the nuggets, the donuts.
Oh yeah,
that's a great story.
Yeah,
that he was eating. And let's see. I know we got a bunch of other stories. Let's see. Mike Leary is here, and in college, his nickname was Gump, named after a hockey player. And same with me. I was Clutch Cargo, not a hockey player. Whole different story we'll talk about later. But Gump's going to be coming in. I know later. He was another director. Did a lot of TV commercials. And so when we talk about movies and magic later, he's going to be I know enjoying that as well. And David Harbour really loved the book. Came in the other day. So
great.
Yeah,
great.
And let's see who else. We had Glenn from Newborough, and David said hello, and also from across town, Gene Protis over here. And I'm glad. Thank you very much, John. Yes, you can change your profile picture. You just need to go to your Facebook page and do that. You can do that on a temporary basis up there. So anyhow, let's see. Yeah, Phil, I'll drink to that. And as Mike Miller had said, great entrance. That's classy.
Thank you.
The town idiot.
I always got something up my sleeve. I got something up my sleeve. Up yours. Hey, all right. There you go.
Oh.
Hey, stop me. Right.
And the hits just keep coming.
Lots of great comments on the book, by the way. That's and it really is a great book, Scott. I've been going through it, and it's just it's like seeing a family photo album.
Thanks.
Big time.
I just got I got an email back from Mike Close saying that he thinks I should submit it for they do the you just talked about it with Max Maven on the podcast, Scott, the Alan Slade Award. I should try to
I did. Yep.
Submit it for that.
That book is, as you said, you could take somebody out with that thing. That is a big ass.
It's hefty. It's hefty.
Yours didn't come with the probably the little Ex Libris inside, but I've got my own book plate that I put in there. But I like the fact that everyone is, what I did, when I would recommend when you guys get your books that they are packed also like in this little, what Denny always used, Vans shoes, and it comes in a nice checkerboard thing, and it has the pig sticker on that. So I cut that out, and I'm using that as a bookmark.
Oh, cool. Hey, that's exactly what I intended.
So thank you for the signature, which you did, I guess, 1,000 times over here.
I did, yes. Yeah. Some of them are better than others, but they're all mine. So
look like you took time.
Unlike my jokes. Thank you. Hey, all right.
Well, another thing I think is cool is you'll notice that you've got a QR code, and you've got that also in some different places where they can actually go and watch the videos, right?
Yeah. There was a whole separate Denny. I actually went on an Indiana Jones archaeological dig with Denny's permission at the end there. He said, go. I got lots of beta video. So I did a DVD series of a lot of his performance videos. But for people who didn't want to spend the extra money to get the DVDs and all that stuff, I put that QR code in, and there's a whole video where you can go watch without spending another dime of some of Denny's work. So I put that in there just for that.
No, I think that just is an additional dimension, I think, of the book of what you've added. That it's really helpful and really great. What have you got there? Is that the that's the collector's edition that you got?
No, that's the DVD series. Yeah. All the Denny's performance stuff on there from back in the day, and all the hits from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today.
That's my arm.
Yeah, that's Puck's arm right there.
So you made it on the cover.
Yes, he did. That's where from our show at Abbott's, the last time Denny ever did the canvas covered box right there.
Yeah. And so you had said the book is really kind of selling out, and you probably don't have a lot that are left. And so, I mean, there are no more, is that correct? There are really no more editions of the collector's editions though, right?
Yeah. There are a couple more editions of the collector's editions. I've been getting so many emails about it. And I actually have, at last count, I think I had 3 left. I thought I had sold out, but very early in the beginning, I held back a couple. So I just put those on my website. There are a couple collector's editions left, but not many. There are just a few that I was able to put back into circulation.
Right. And if people are going to be looking for that, they can go over there to scottalexander.bigcartel.com.
Yeah, Scott, or just go to scottalexandermagic.com, basically. scottalexandermagic.com. That'll take you right there.
Okay.
And yeah, buy the book because it won't be around much longer. We're well over the halfway point, and it's like Denny used to say, you better buy it now because you'll never see it again. When people came into his shop, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna think about that. And then they come back 2 months later. It's like, dude, I sold that like 2 months ago. And you can't get another one. It was like a one-of-a-kind thing or a limited edition thing. So yeah, get it now. Get it now.
Because you don't plan on reprinting this, I guess.
No, zero, zilch, no reprinting, no second edition, no crap like that. Denny and I said it's 1,000 books, and then a couple of little extra collector's editions that went at the people Denny wanted, and that's it. No more. We're done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because there have been some other books I have purchased in the past thinking that was going to, let's say like it was the Walter Jeans edition, the first edition. There were only 500 of them that Mike Caveney had done with Magic Words. And it was very expensive. I think it was going for like close to $1,000. And then I guess because it was in such demand, it's like, I think I'll reprint that. And suddenly,
Nope. This thing will be worth $1,000 in a while, I'm sure. But there will be zero more reprinting. No more. We're done. I made that mistake with, Dan Harlan made that mistake for me with Mad Joke. Yeah, we were supposed to only print like 1,000 copies of that ever, and somehow he ended up getting talked into making more of those. So anyway, but this one,
just talked to Dan just yesterday.
Dan's doing great, man.
He's got some great stuff going. He's just moved to North Carolina. Is doing great,
and he looks phenomenal from what the guy was telling me. He's like got this new hairdo and like a beard, and he's rocking out the golden years look. Good for Dan.
He's wondering which one are you in the show? Watching the videos one morning. Which one of you are in the show then?
Which show?
We were all in Denny's show at one point or another. Yeah, we all were.
Yeah, and then Glenn had asked if you included all of his promo shots. Probably not all of them, but he has
a lot of them. Yeah, I'm putting out. There's also coming out later on in the spring, late spring, mid spring, somewhere. I'm redoing Denny's lecture notes. If you ever bought lecture notes from Denny, they were like a stapled together thing of about 30 pages. Once the book hit 500 pages, I couldn't put that in the book. So Denny had a whole list of changes and stuff he wanted to make. So I'm annotating his notes and actually binding them together in a perfect binding it'll be the original Denny Haney notes plus all the changes he wanted. Then plus I annotate it, and I'm including all the other pictures I couldn't put in the book and a video of a lecture that I just found a couple of weeks ago that Denny had done at the Fun House in Baltimore. And not only does he talk about the business of magic, but he also does and talks about some of his tricks and stuff too. So that's another thing in the hopper that didn't make it in the book that'll be coming out later.
Okay.
But,
Are you using Ecamm or OBS or something? I think I've got a little bit of a delay in your voice.
I'm using Ecamm. Yeah.
Ecamm. I was going to say that must be it.
Yeah, but I'm talking faster than so I'll work at your speed. So I can tell you where that line came from.
Puck, I want to hear just a story from you then also. You guys were traveling, I know, a lot in the truck, and you said one time that the truck had broken down, I guess more than once.
Oh, that was not with me.
Was that Alon?
Yeah, it was Alon. Yeah, the truck never broke down with me.
What happened?
I was driving while Asian.
But did the wheels come off, or did the lug nuts, or what happened? Didn't you have
we ran out of gas. I was with Scott when it took place, and we ran out of gas, and of course you would think, well, why didn't you fill the gas tank up? But the answer to that actual question is that his gas meter did not work. And so of course he did warn us to get gas and did tell me that, I should make sure to get gas because of that reason. But, Scott and I were talking, and then suddenly before we knew it, we're on the side of the road without any gas. So that's the story. That's the long and short of it.
Yep. Right outside of New York City, we were going to the Science Center, the Science Center. He had a gig up there. And we were sitting on the side of the road on the back of the truck. And here comes Denny and Min in the van and sees us sitting there. And they pull over. And, of course, Denny read the riot act to us. And anyway, we made it in time and did it anyway. And Alan had to drive.
What the hell were you thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you had to drive back up and get the truck or something, I think. Yeah. What the hell were you thinking?
Well, did you guys have cell phones back then that you could talk to each other or anything? Nope. You just kind of.
Nope.
I had a beeper.
Yeah. No, that would have been like, I don't know.
Yeah, pre-cell phone.
91 maybe, 90.
Yeah, maybe 92, maybe 93. Who knows?
Somewhere. Yeah.
And if it was a cell phone, Denny would have never used it anyway. Yeah.
He was
absolutely hated him.
But we had this. We had this. Drum roll, please. That's an archive.
That is a classic. That is a classic thing. I can't believe that he's actually. Number one, I can't believe that we've used it for so long and it still works to this day.
What the heck was it? Just a drum?
So I mean,
it's a drum from the Muppet Show that Denny used. He must have gotten that in the 70s. But it's like a player piano, and when you turn the crank, listen. Yeah, it does a drum roll. Yeah.
But Denny would say, "Drum roll, please," and Min would come out and she would do that, and then she'd throw the drum across the stage or would roll across the stage. So that was the bit. So.
Yeah.
That's the roll of the drum roll.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, it was the corniest thing ever.
Totally.
That was great, but you know what's a little greater? That is, hey.
Oh,
thank you. Oh, yeah. All right, there you go.
Oh, mine it's not quite as handy as yours. Mine's behind the curtain. Yes. I'm trying to think. That was Don Lawton gag, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way back. I love that.
Wow.
Lots of Lawton.
That's right. Lots of Lawton. That was a great series way back then. Man, we're going back. So did you guys all work at the same time? And what I mean is, did you have parts in which you did more than just assist or pull out and roll on the illusions? Did he let you feature in any kind of piece of the show?
Well, we were all the ninja. We all played the ninja during the Indiana Jones piece.
Yeah. But I think, Alain, you would do the Miser's Dream sometimes before the act, right?
When we were doing our college tours, he basically let me open for him before the show and do like a pantomime manipulation type of act. So I was actually pulling coins out of the air and doing hat juggling.
And doing hat juggling. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
Hat juggling into coins from the air.
Mm-hmm. Did you go out into the audience as well, or did you have someone come up? Or
no. It was basically just like a 3.5 minute piece that he just had me do at the very beginning, and it was just he was just trying to teach me stage presence and how to just work the stage and just do something to a piece of music and fit it all in basically. And I actually got really good at being able to fit things into being able to conform to a piece of music. And one thing that I figured out during that time, it was just really funny because I was like obsessed with finding pieces that were approximately 2.5 to 3.5 minutes long, just because that's basically how long a pantomime number would be. And if you can time it just right, like if the piece just ended in just the right way, you could actually create the entire act around the entire musical piece basically.
Yeah. And same thing, I imagine that Denny had a lot of music probably from the 60s and when he Vietnam era type music, that he used.
He liked being inspired by music, but he tried to stay relatively, hip to what was going on. He enjoyed using music that he knew other people, would resonate with. So he used anything that was popular, and he was really good at basically choosing either really popular pieces or also choosing pieces that people would just recognize, like what he would call classic pieces.
Yeah, timeless.
Yeah, in the book, I talk about that a little bit, his music choices. Basically, in the 60s, he was playing with a live orchestra, and into the 70s and even into the early 80s, a live orchestra would play behind him. But as the 70s became the 80s, and David Copperfield started using words with lyrics, songs with lyrics in them. Then Denny was like, hey, that's a great idea. So he adopted that whole thing. So in the early 80s, he would, for the Sword Basket, he experimented with using The Power of Love by Huey Lewis. He used, what else did he use? Well, he used the Raiders of the Lost Ark theme in the middle of the sword suspension, but the theme from Jonathan Livingston Seagull, B, was used for part of the sword suspension. That never changed. He used William Tell Overture, which is timeless classic, for the canvas covered box. But in between, he would use. He also used Blues Walk as a chase music for the Big Bag and for the. So he had a mix of timeless music, classical music, and modern music, and it kind of had something to appeal to everybody.
I think the important thing with music, obviously, is when people will hear that on the radio, they will associate that with a memory, and you want for them to be thinking about your show. And so, I can see why you want to do something that's going to be popular, certainly like that. Larry Wilburn had just asked over here about whether that is that's in Denny's store.
Yes, this is what Denny's shop looked like in the final permutation of it at 9004 Yellow Brick Road in Baltimore. This was the looking down the shop from one end to the other, and Denny would usually hang out right about here, back here on the computer, doing stuff, and bitch and complain about downloads and stuff like that.
Yes, happy National Denny Day.
Yes, happy National Denny Day.
Yes. Say cheers to Denny and happy Denny Day to everybody. Yeah.
Happy Denny Day.
In the spirit of Denny, I'll pour coffee.
There you go. Have some coffee. Black. Because you got a gig. You got a gig,
just
right?
Black coffee. Yeah. That's right. I've got a gig. Cheers.
Where are you working right now? It's not the Oyo. It's where are you now?
No. Now I'm at a completely different place, and I just feel completely blessed that I managed to, within a year, end up with 2 different residencies, and this second one is at the Alexis Park Resort. It's a really nice space. The stage is 25 feet away from the audience, but the audience has gone from 50 to 80 now for maximum capacity. The larger shows will open up next month. We're excited to sort of well, I'm crossing my fingers that the soft reopening of Las Vegas will keep us safe and keep things going as people continue to be vaccinated.
I'm going to be in Vegas next week, so I'm going to come see your show.
Oh, nice. Right on. I can't wait.
And how many nights a week are you actually performing then?
Thursday through Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. show. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay. And you say 80 people is max right now.
Right now, in my room at least.
Okay. And you say in your room. So what other ones venues are there?
Well, so there are other venues. I've really been staying away from most people. So I've been for the most part still in kind of self-quarantine, but I do see the people from the Alexis Park there, and I know the other acts that are there. So at the Alexis Park, we actually have several different acts, including John Shaw's got a show there.
John!
He's doing with right on with Lefty and another a mentalist named Anna Rose and another who else? Holly England was with them a little bit, and Mondre actually closes the show. And that dude he is awesome every single time. I love watching him.
He's solid.
So basically, they have a show called Late Night Magic that comes in about an hour and a half after my show. My show's the 7:30 p.m. slot. There's also Tommy Wynn, who does the Illusion show just before my show. As a matter of fact, I think he's got the 5:30 show, and then we've also got Burlesque Q, which is starring my friend and ventriloquist April Brooker, and she's one of the guest stars of that show. And then also an all-male review called Rock Candy.
Okay.
No, I don't know why that's funny, but it's a great way to end. It's a great way to finish off everything that's performed there. So that's at the Alexis Park
Here's
review.
Naked Dudes.
Resort.
Naked Dudes.
Yeah.
There you go. Sure.
It's funny.
Angels.
My name Alain is actually French, Alain, and my last name is Nu, which in French means naked. So if you Google image search me, you'll actually find
Naked Dudes.
You'll see a lot of images of me first, but if you keep scrolling down, you'll start to see a lot
less
of
and less clothing on you.
Whose name is Alain. No, different guys whose name is Alain. I think I had all that scrubbed.
Oh, good. Well, Scott Alexander is the name of an adult entertainer as well. So,
well,
you got to scroll down a little bit.
That was like Kyle Knight. Kyle changed his name from Tyler.
Yeah. Same reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Glenn had asked over there, why do we pick today as Denny Day? And actually, it was something that I had selected because I had talked with you guys a couple weeks ago that I put on the podcast. I thought, well, I'm going to have you on tonight. And I thought, well, I'm going to move that up. I've got several in queue right now, but I'm going to kind of bump you up in the mornings. This way, I just can't get enough of you three guys.
Glenn, isn't every day Denny Day?
That's right.
He was also that David Rohan had said Denny's complained about the internet. He really misses that.
Oh yeah.
John was wanting to come back to Smoke and Mirror sometime soon, and John Sturck said that he was complimented by Denny once. I guess that'd be a compliment then over there.
Oh, yay, John!
And
the Sturker.
That's right. I love his organ playing or playing.
Yeah. John's organ is fantastic.
It's a beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
He's got the coolest skateboard I've ever seen, man.
And
let's not talk about his organ playing.
Yes. Oh, Vic, you're nasty.
Okay. All right. And that hey, there's another one, by the way, that Jeff says he's in also on the Rock Candy in that show.
Oh, Jeff is. Oh, Jeff, yay! Holy mackerel!
Jeff, what's going on?
Holy mackerel! That's a holy mackerel right there.
Oh, I see.
That's a regular. That's a holy mackerel, just in case. Yay, Jeff!
Oh.
Yay, Jeff!
Wow.
And yeah, just because I guess
I just got the jiggling hanky, Jeff. Thank you. All right. Inside
let's see. Somebody else. Denny's Facebook live broadcast inspired and entertained me, even though they never met. There are several people I had spoke with today, Phil Ackerley and some others, who had said they really had not been. Actually, they didn't know Denny, hadn't been in the shop. I'm sorry. I just had to post this one because John says Jeff is the candy. Yeah.
What's going on, John Surgott?
John, we love you, man. Yeah. PJ, yep. And so, yeah, Jeff, you love to see that jiggle. Okay. And over there at the Marshall American Museum of Magic, loved you guys at Abbott's. I want to talk about that just a little bit then, too. What was that like working? That was like the last time you really did a big show together. That was a memorable experience, and I was there as well. What do you remember most about that show? What was putting it together, or what?
It was just being with family, man. It was family. It was like all of us coming together to do a show one final time, but without Denny, but doing Denny's entire act from start to finish. It was amazing. There's no words for it. Yeah.
It brought back a lot of memories. I mean, did you feel like you just kind of glided right into it? Because, I mean, you've done it so many times. That's like,
I mean, everything was great except for having to put on his costume. Aside from that, everything was wonderful.
Now, for those who may not have heard,
it was never washed.
It smelled like
it was
Denny.
never washed.
It was like old. Can I say old nutsack on there? Can I?
Never washed.
Horrible, man. Yeah. I mean, it needed a vodka bath. It really did.
So Scott didn't want to wash it because he was afraid that it would just like fall apart completely if he washed it. So instead, he just sprayed a bunch of Lysol on it and said, "Puck, get in."
You know what? I'll tell you the craziest thing about that night. The craziest thing was I did Denny's egg bag, and Scott, I do the shot glass finale. Scott went into my props and took out the water and the food coloring and put in scotch.
Yes.
And he put the cap back on. So when I took the shot,
it was real scotch. It wasn't iced tea.
It was real scotch.
It was real.
And then,
Right,
then I had to come out. I had to come out with Denny smoking a cigarette.
And we couldn't find the cigarettes because Scott put them in his pocket. So he's out on stage with the cigarettes in his pocket, and Puck's going, "What happened to the cigarettes?" And we had to like secretly tell Scott that he kept the cigarettes and we needed them. And so there was all this stuff that happened. I was trying to convince him to smoke something else to walk out on stage.
It was fun. It was fun.
Okay, I can't believe you're putting that on. That's got to still smell the same. That smells
man,
like
God.
Now it smells like
me?
Denny's.
What are you
and
doing to yourself?
There you go. Hey. All right, I'm just going to take a whiff just for the team. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. There it is, right there. There's the wrinkled joker. Let's see. Yep, nutsack. There it is, right there. You got it. You got it. No, it's kind of faded. It just kind of smells like old material and a little bit of.
I thought it might smell like cigarettes or something, you know.
Faintly,
it's just musty. Just musty.
Yeah. But it's been hit with so much Febreze, it's counteracted a lot of it.
You know, we rehearsed that show. First of all, we rehearsed like crazy because we hadn't done it in at least 10, 15 years. So when we got together, nothing worked. I mean, every rehearsal just fell to pieces. And the only time it worked was during the actual performance. And we were just like, Denny was looking down and he blessed us. I mean, there's no reason.
Wow. It was either Puck would stab Min with a sword during rehearsal, or we couldn't get her on the sword suspension or the canvas covered box. We couldn't get the things right. But somehow, we were blessed at the end.
The crystal box was like a hot mess and some. The crystal box seemed like it was like we weren't even going to be
insurmountable.
Able to do it. Insurmountable.
Did anybody ever get injured
doing Denny's show?
I mean,
we got a couple singed eyebrows. Yeah.
He's doing this thing where we would play a ninja, and he would come out with a sword, and it was actually the sword for the sword suspension. And we play Indiana Jones music, and we'd be coming out as a ninja swinging the sword, and he would shoot us with a fireball with this big cosmic blaster from I think it was Theater Effects, that big thing to like 5 sheets of paper. And one time he shot it, and the damn thing hit me in the face. And the mask melted to my face. My mustache, everything was singed. I eyebrows, and I was jumping around on fire. And I probably I hit the ground, and Denny walks up and just laughs at me, just laughs and goes on with the trick. And it didn't happen to you, Alan? Didn't it go in your thing?
It went up your sleeve, didn't it?
I think once it did go up my sleeve. It went up my sleeve, but it didn't actually burn me or anything like that. They were just Denny took great pride in doing really evil shit to me, and he would cut the nastiest farts like inside the curtain and pull the curtain shut so that it would like contain it and say, "Ow, there's a problem inside the curtain. You got to go check that thing out." And he'd make me go inside there, and just so I would have to be in the in the cloud of his fart, right? And like everywhere we went, it was like that. He would like walk in front of me just so that he could fart on me, and he
was very fond of crop dusting.
And then I would try to like get in front of him, and he would run, so he would stay in front of me.
The man loved his farts. What can I say?
What kind of a diet did he have that made the fart so bad?
Well, the secret was Puck.
the onion soup. He would eat onion
Grass's-
soup.
This
Yeah.
is Grass's onion soup. This is Grass's onion soup.
Just so we
Oh
can
my
build
God.
it up. The worst thing that
No, he's been doing it. He's been doing it longer than the onion soup. He has like an amazing control over his ability to fart. That's something I don't know if that was in the book. Is that in the book somewhere?
Yeah, I talk about it. Yeah.
That's the fart chapter?
No, because he can fart on command. You know, not everyone can do that, but Denny can.
Not
do it.
always successfully though. As it
Yeah.
got
Oh,
later.
oh my gosh! Yeah, he had a few accidents.
In fact, I have one of his stool samples right here. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. That's Colin's number 2 joke.
Colin's number 2 joke. Thank you. Thank you.
I've got mine handy at the. Oh, it's not that close.
Do you shop at the same clown store I do, Scott?
I think we must. You probably got one of those Viagra pills too, right? I got that right over there.
Yep.
We got people from all over. Peter Brown is down from Australia.
Wow, yeah. I'm so glad. Peter, thanks for joining us. I'm so happy there's a tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. He is the one who is in charge of making sure that we're gonna be there. Yeah.
He said Charlie hated that. Oh my God! Remember old man Charlie? Wow.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Old man Charlie.
Sorry,
So-
I'm reading these things on the screen. Yeah.
Yes. I was going to ask you about the Foudinis for just a minute, because when we were talking, you were mentioning some of the people who had come in and out, and you just in passing had mentioned Harry Maurer, and I had Harry on last week as well.
Nice.
And he's one of my best friends here in Houston. And of course, working cruises. And I don't know, Puck, you might run across him from time to time out. There's 2 ships passing in the sea or whatever. And I was just wondering about some of the other people who were working about, out at Foudinis. That didn't last, I guess, didn't you say how many years was that?
It was only 8 months.
It was only 8 months. Yeah, exactly. Only 8 months. The grand
Diamond?
opening.
Yeah,
Craig Diamond. Yeah. And his
Randy,
then
the
wife,
amazing Randy.
Crystal. James Randi was the grand opening of the place.
Barry Wood.
Alan Hayden. Well, Barry
wow.
was basically like Barry was one of the staff magicians, which I was as well. But Alan Hayden was actually there as a headliner.
Wow.
And I have to say, what's so
Alan.
awesome about that is that, Alan, very few people know this, so I might as well go ahead and credit him right now. But Alan is actually the guy who pointed to me when a television producer asked him who would potentially be able to put together a TV special, and that's how my television special actually got aired. And so Alan was the reason for that. And one thing I'll say about Alan is that he's a true worker. Not only is he totally creative and out of left field, but that guy can work a crowd like very few other people. And if there's lay people in the audience, I dare watch any magician try to follow Alan Hayden, because he's so lovable and so weird and so strange.
Was he kind of like the resident MC? Was he there every week?
No, he was actually only there. He was basically there as a headliner. So he basically it was basically like, I think 1 half-hour show every hour. So like on the hour, there was like a show that lasted, I think, between 20 minutes and half an hour. And it's
kind of like the parlor at the castle, basically. It's, every 20-minute show, every hour or so.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to, hear what people are asking. And there was a question over here that was posed by Sean Redmond. Wanted to know from each of you, what was the first thing that you had learned from Denny? I'm sure there were a lot of things, obviously, when you're in that you had learned. But whenever you first came and met him, and there was something, perhaps. Okay, Scott, you're up first.
Don't be a pain in the ass when it comes to dealing with the client. The answer is always yes, and you can always find a way to do it.
Okay.
Yep. Be accommodating. You know what? I think we can work that out. We'll do it. Hey, I'm sorry, but the audience had to be moved 6 feet this way, and we've got dance floor in front. Can you work with that? I think we can work with it. Just don't be a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm. So it really wasn't a trick so much as it was just advice. Now, I think that's interesting. You must have obviously been a magician, because at that point you needed to know that kind of information. It sounds like
seeing him deal with people, he was just, you just liked him. I mean, he was just so gregarious and just was willing to go with the flow, and his ego was nothing. You know, it was all about the client. It was all about making the event a success. And that's really what his success was, that his ego was very, very small compared to the enormous power and strength of his act.
Yeah, exactly. Because the act really spoke for itself. And there were very, very few times that I've ever seen him not get a standing ovation, because almost every
count
single
him on one
show.
hand.
Yeah, you can. I mean, we would be slightly disappointed with the audience. We knew that something was wrong with the entire evening if we didn't get a standing ovation. It was like, you know, there were times in which it didn't happen, but we always knew that it wasn't us, because what he crafted to create his show is actually so interesting, and it's really a variety show that is of all kinds of different magic. And by the end of the show, not only have you seen a really amazing magician, but you've seen so many aspects of magic, different types of magic throughout the show, that you feel like you've really got a lot of information from seeing that one show. You got to see basically everything from like swords through a woman, to levitating lady, to sleight of hand and manipulation, to escapes, and then a grand finale that cannot be topped. So,
and you have to admit that these are standing ovations, not from a formal theatrical audience who's been primed and trained at the end of the show at Les Mis, you stand up. These are from corporate audiences, 8 o'clock in the morning, who've just woken up and are ticked off, standing ovations from these people.
Yeah. Sometimes it was like a bar mitzvah. We'd be in a hotel ballroom and we'd be surrounded by people and be performing in the middle of a dance floor. And he'd still do things like card manipulations and stuff like that. He never cared about things like angles and stuff. He was just like, he handled all of that so well and so pro. It was just, it was amazing to watch. And his example really does, in many ways, bleed right into my professional career, as well as Scott and Puck's and everyone who's been affected by him. I would say that his philosophy of being an entertainer and really being a true to the blood entertainer, like the thing that I learned from Denny is you never get sick, and so like once I was so sick I couldn't even I did not think I could possibly make it to the next day and do a show. And Denny basically went to the drugstore and picked up a bottle of NyQuil.
The NyQuil, yep.
And said, here, drink the entire bottle.
And it worked.
And I was 19 years old, so I didn't know what anyone, in many ways, my dad and I were kind of estranged when I was a teenager. And so Denny kind of replaced the father figure in my life in many ways. And so when he told me to drink the NyQuil, I felt like I had to drink the NyQuil. and exactly what he told me was going to happen actually happened. I totally got knocked out, and the next morning I felt great.
Yeah. Talking about the standing ovations too. Denny, in the book, there's 9 ideas about how to get a standing ovation. Denny and Tim Conover, rest his soul as well.
Yeah.
We're going to write
for that.
We're going to write a book about getting standing ovations, a pamphlet. So I found the notes that Denny had made on it, and those are actually in the Denny book.
Yeah.
And Mike Miller said, in the comments, he told R.G. Smith that if Denny didn't get a standing ovation at the SAM in Philly, that Mike would take it over his fee, and Denny got 3. So there you go, Mike.
That's Denny was that guy. It's so funny. It's like, because Denny worked so much that a lot of people didn't know who he was, like at the Magic Castle, different conventions and things like that, because he was a working pro. He never had time to do things like that. So it was always hard to get him booked into places. But then once they saw him, it was just like undeniable, the talent. And then he would just get booked, constantly after that. Yeah.
What was one of the first things that you learned from Denny, by the way, Puck?
I mean, I'm pretty much like Scott. I mean, he was always pushing, you know, you have to be easy to work with. He said, if you're a pain in the butt, they won't bring you back. He told me one time that this agent, I think it was, I forget, Dick Lyons, I think, told him one time that he had this act that they had booked in to do the show. He said, the act got standing ovation. They crushed it. They killed it, but we'll never book him back again. And then he was like, why not? He said, because they're a pain in the butt to work with. And I won't mention the name of the act, but they're famous magicians. And Denny got the show from then on because he was so easy to work with. We would walk into a banquet ballroom, and I remember one time that they didn't even have speakers set up. We used the speakers in the ceiling that they used for like the elevator music. We used that to do the whole show. I mean, Denny was just so easy. He was like, you know, lighting, just make it bright. That's all he cared about. He didn't need a spotlight, didn't need special lighting. I mean, Denny was the easiest guy. I mean, one time he was doing his show, and I think he ran into Andre Cole. And Andre Cole saw him at the airport, and Denny's whole show flew over the counter. I mean, the sub trunk was planed down so that the weight of it would make it over the counter back when you got 75 pounds per case.
Yeah, under 70.
Yeah, and he had the whole act, the sword basket, I mean, the sword suspension, everything would fly over the counter. And RJ Cole saw that. He was like, that's the greatest thing I ever saw, because I know he probably had a semi, you know, to get to his show, you know. So it was just, he knew how to work, you know, pack small, play big, and just be easy, because they'll bring you back. Even if your act's mediocre, if you're easy to work with, they will bring you back.
Over somebody who's fantastic.
Yeah, over somebody. Yeah,
I know the actor. I know the actor you're talking about. Yeah.
Scott, by the way, that had a question here from Glenn Edwards. You're going to be performing in Vegas. You doing anything in Vegas then right now then too?
I'm going to be doing various classified things at Area 51, so I can't really discuss it.
Okay.
But I am going to meet with Johnny Aladdin's widow to speak to her about some things. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, to answer the question of whoever said that Denny was not just was not a magician's magician, but a people's magician, I can't agree more. But at the same time, I will say that Denny was a magician's magician as well. And so you know, as much as he was a people's magician, if you actually go in, if you read Denny's book and actually just read the routining behind it, it's like really, really well thought out. I mean, there's very little, it's almost hermetically sealed, each and every one of those routines. It would be hard to improve on any of it.
You can't find a weak point in anything that he does. And I've analyzed the hell out of all of them. And everything he chose to do, because he had to do it under test conditions in any environment, it's all bulletproof stuff. It's all bulletproof.
Yeah.
And it's entertaining.
Yeah, those lecture notes are going to be really good.
It'll fool most magicians too. I mean, seriously, I would say there was a long time that I really had no idea how he did the razor blades, and you know, John. One of the things that Denny would do with, I know with me, and I'm pretty sure with Scott and Puck as well, is he didn't teach us everything. He basically held back things, and really until we asked, or until we approached him about it, would he even start to talk to us about it. And sometimes even if we did ask, he still wouldn't tell us what it was. So I mean, you know, so he really kind of made us learn the hard way in many ways. And I'm really grateful for that, actually. Like, not every magician, you know, teaches their students in this way. And I feel that having been taught in that particular way has made me a much more hardened performer. You know?
The reason that he knew so much is that he was a voracious reader. Early in his career, he read everything. And that's Max Maven's advice. So, how do you get better at magic? Read what? Read everything, right?
Yeah.
And he did. He would sit for hours and just take a book off of his vast library and just sit in this chair with this little lamp he had, and he would read it up until the time he opened a magic shop. That was all he did. And all of a sudden, everything that came before, he knew every different version of how to do the egg bag. He knew every version of you know, coins across. He knew every version of cards across, because he studied it. And true performers study those that came before them. And that's really what Denny was one of the secrets to Denny's success that's talked about in the book. That's why one of the chapters in the book is called Your Working Library. You don't just have a library of a bunch of books. You have a library of books that you go to that you know are going to help you with what you're doing.
Yeah, that was something that Roger Klaus had taught me then as well. There was something, I remember his daughter had done a short film, and I had that short video, a trailer of that, I think, actually on the episode. If you go back and do a search for Denny Haney, I think you can find that. When I was doing a talk show for the MAES then one time, that you can find. The question is that whatever happened to that, do you have any idea there, Scott?
Yeah, it's I think it's on YouTube. I think it's called The Audition, or
the Audition. I think that's
the Audition or something like that. The interview or the audition. But yeah, I think it was entered in a film festival. I don't know whatever happened to it, but I do know this, that after seeing that short film, Bob Fitch back in 2006 or so said, Denny, close the shop, move to LA, become a character.
Yeah. He was a really good actor on that.
Yeah, because that was all part of Denny's success. It was, he actually had acting chops without formally studying any acting. He just was able to do that, and that's a real cool thing.
Okay, so I'm sorry, we're going to have to start to move on actually to our next segment. This has been great. Part of the problem is I know you then, Alain, have a show that you're going to be needing to go to here shortly, and
I've got a show in September. So.
Yeah, Ron said that it is out there. I think there's still on YouTube. Oh, there it is. Glenn Brown had posted that. If you
there
want
you go.
to
There's the link. Yeah.
Copy that link over there.
Happy National Denny Day. And Scott, I look forward to seeing you next week.
I'll see you next week.
Very good.
But I'll see you April 2nd and 3rd when we debut our show at the Magic
Mania
in Baltimore. New theater opening in Baltimore. Check it out. Magic Mania. FPXevents.com.
Also, there was Alain's already gone. John was just saying good luck with that. As we start to go on, I'm going to put you two guys in the green room, send you back over there so you can actually listen to what we're going to be talking about. And if there's something that you want to add to the conversation we're about to have, I'd invite you to just drop something over there to me in the private chat. Say, hey, I want to come back on. I want to ask about a certain question or something. But what we've got then right now is something that is a special feature that I want to introduce. I had mentioned to begin with that a friend of mine who was a fraternity brother back in college at Southern Illinois University. His nickname was Sticks because he used to have a drum set in his room, and then he was the one who nicknamed me my nickname, which he'll probably mention a little bit later then too. But during the time he was in school, he studied radio and television, and we had some other buddies. I mentioned earlier Mike Leary, who is here tonight, that was as well. But he moved out. So Mike had worked with doing commercials. I think he stayed in the Chicago area. Tom Blomquist had moved out to LA, worked in Hollywood, became a screenwriter as well as a producer and director, and worked on dozens, if not hundreds, of shows. Again, some that you are familiar with would be the A-Team and Walker, Texas Ranger, and there are some great stories and things. And so what we're going to be talking about, this is a new segment. I wanted to kind of see if this is something that will resonate with people who are not just magicians, so we can talk about how that script writing is important to making your magic stronger, but also there are other things aside from script writing, which has to do with choreography and with cinema, well, in this case, cinematography, but lighting and everything else, and staging and whatnot. And there are some important things along the line that he's going to talk about. And if it's something that you like, we're thinking about breaking this out. And actually, like tonight, we're having a Thursday night virtual happy hour, of actually having a Wednesday night where we'll have just the two of us who will be talking about magic in the movies and what makes movie and television magical, as well as splitting it out to a podcast perhaps later. And in addition to that, him bringing on some people who are some celebrities, not just who are well known to the general population, but also others who are involved in the filmmaking industry. So there is something I would perhaps, I think if I show you this little video, this will tell you a little bit kind of what to look at. I think this was a great little film that he had. Let's see here. If I can get the right one. Yeah. There's going to be a short film. It's on YouTube about the importance of these little things that you don't really think about. But this little film will tell you a little bit about it. And so let this kind of.
A toast. Establishing me as the wealthy, successful protagonist. Who is handsome?
Murmur of agreement.
Ambient sound.
Talking to people. Friendly concern that something may be missing from your life.
Confidence that nothing is missing in my life.
Interrupted statement about
Reassurance that my good fortune will not waver.
Introduction of characters suffering from the most topical disability of the present year.
My catchphrase!
Frustration with these new circumstances.
Admiration at your seeming selflessness.
Interest in your bold rejection of social norms as evidenced by your dyed hair.
My name.
My name.
Catchphrase.
Relief at having found meaning in my life.
Friendly concern that a string of heightened and seemingly unrelated plots may now arise.
Dude. Differences are surfacing between us.
Accusations about your sexuality!
Suspicion that a character once thought trustworthy may not be trustworthy. Also, I've got to use tough love to help this Latin American teenager believe in himself. Also, I must prove innocent this incredibly humble human male. Also, I've decided to fight with the Native American metaphor against the American military metaphor.
Lead females name! Naive yet inspiring statement. And then the music gets...
Inspiring final lines of a speech that douchebags will quote in their Facebook profiles!
Wow, brilliant. So that really tells a lot about what we're going to be talking about then right now, because each of those different segments with the lighting, with the mood music, with the choreography, the camera angles, the cinematography. And here's the guy then right now, Tom Blomquist. Hey there, Tom. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good, Clutch. Good to see you. Cheers to you.
As well. Oh, yeah. You called me Clutch. He was the one who had actually come up with that name. Because?
Well, because before the beard, with your square jaw and your rugged good looks, you looked exactly like Clutch Cargo in the cartoons. And everybody thought so, and that was it. When you were a pledge, everybody started calling you Clutch Cargo, and you still are. It's hard for me to actually call you Scott, but I'll try that as a semblance of professional behavior.
Well, thank you very much, but I appreciate the closeness of that, so that way I feel funny calling you Tom. It sticks to me also. Anyhow, listen, congratulations, by the way, first of all, on this new book, which I happen to have a copy of right behind me over here, which was Devious Thinking. And this is your second. And this is a mystery novel. Is that right? Kind of?
It's a revenge comedy, actually. My first book, Silent Partners, was a forensic mystery, a thriller. And this is a complete change-up. This is a revenge comedy set mostly in Europe, and couple of American women jilted by their bad men in their lives, and they get even. And it was a lot of fun to write. And I thank you for making 2 promos for us. You want to show them one of your promos?
If you don't mind, I think I can show just maybe the quick one over here. Let me see. Where is that? Just a second.
Okay.
That would be this one.
And now, a special Valentine message just for you.
Has anyone ever done you wrong? Have you ever been totally betrayed? Has anyone ever ripped your heart out from your chest and stomped on it? Then this book is for you. Devious Thinking, Misadventures in Getting Even. a novel by Tom Blomquist. A story about people so devious that they said so on the cover. Stay devious, my friend. Available at Amazon.com. There we go. Thank you very much.
The second most interesting man in the world, right there.
In the world. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. I just had someone who had asked, by the way, that Sean had said, Tom, what are you drinking?
This is Scotch. This is Famous Grouse, a good blended Scotch.
A blend Scotch, yeah.
This was Winston Churchill's favorite Scotch, by the way. So if good enough for him, I can drink this. Allegedly, that was his favorite.
I did not know that. Well, the reason we're here then tonight, of course, and talking with you, there are some things that I'm going to see if we can touch on here. We don't have a lot of time then. I'm sorry about that. But as far as...
well, I don't know anything anyway, so this could go real. It's like 20 seconds because I know nothing, so it's fine.
Okay, well, let's start over there about what is it that makes movies magical? Why is it that people want to watch that? Same thing like with magicians. Why would people want to watch their shows? I mean, tell me something about what is the first thing that.
So you may remember this from your high school English classes or college lit class or something, but stories are important to all cultures, and in the case of movies and TV shows, those stories involve characters who become really involved with on a weekly television series. You may not watch, Grey's Anatomy because it was the most compelling medical stories you've ever seen, but you're so involved with those characters, you want to see what's going to happen to them this week. And in movies, which are usually a one-off deal, the magic trick of this is to pull the audience in very quickly into the journey of those characters. And then there are devices that we use to do that. Aristotle, by the way, figured this out a long time ago. There's a basic 3-act structure, which you may remember. But in the first act, you set up the characters and the situation and the problem, whatever that problem might be. And then in the second act, you set out about solving the problem. And just when it looks like there's a paradigm, so the second act is developing, you're trying to come up with a solution to the problem, whether it's a romantic problem, a murder mystery problem, even a comedy. And just when you think it's all going to work out, the characters think it's all going to work out, you pull the rug out from underneath them. And at the end of Act 2, we call that the oh shit moment.
And that's what up over there, when they reach the top of that pinnacle there.
Right, point of crisis, and everything, all is lost. And then the hero has to reconnoiter, figure out what are we going to do now, and then you have the resolution. In an action movie, that's when you have your big car chase, the bad guy across town. We call that a run jump. And so these paradigms have been around for a long time. This is true in theater, it's true in my novels, it's true in the novel you read last year. This is how stories are told. And the reason that people get drawn in is it's thematic. So it's not just, this guy does this, and then this guy runs over there, and then he does that. It's what's it about? What's in the writer's heart? What is she trying to say to the viewer? And crime doesn't pay. America right or wrong. Whatever the love wins out. Romeo and Juliet is love endures even with death, despite death, that kind of thing. So once you know what the theme is, then the writer constructs characters and a plot convolution, like with those paradigms, to explore that theme through the different action of the piece. And the action becomes the actual story when we talk about story. And the other thing that we use is conflict, which you may also remember from your high school English classes. But without conflict, nothing is interesting. It's just two people sitting around talking about, what do you do today? Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know what. And there's nothing happens. So you have a character that wants something in the story, and there's something opposing that want. It could be another person, it can be several people, it can be circumstances, and that person has to go up against those obstacles and defeat them to get to where he or she wants to go.
Right.
And in the last general kind of trick, I'll call it, but it's a mandate, and it's called the character arc. How does your character change from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie? Because characters have to change, or it's not credible and it's not real. And if they don't change, then there's a specific story reason why. Like Forrest Gump, he doesn't change because he's incapable of change because of his mental impairment. So what's interesting about that story is that all the other characters, everybody he comes in contact with changes, but he never does. In Rain Man, same kind of dynamic. Dustin Hoffman's character, you know, his brother takes him on this trip for these kind of less than honorable reasons, and you think as they start to bond as brothers, or Tom Cruise with Hoffman, you think maybe Dustin Hoffman's going to change. And lo and behold, he doesn't. He's exactly the same at the end of the movie as he was at the beginning of the movie because he was incapable of change. And the journey was not his journey at all. It was Tom Cruise's character's journey as he learned what selflessness,
how to deal with that situation and loving his brother. Yeah.
So that's kind of in what we call narrative theory. Those are kind of headlines on how that's done. There's a lot of structural mandates that we have to learn, because if you watch a movie, have you ever gotten up and walked out of a movie or changed a channel? Like, well, this sucks. This is not doing it for me. Chances are there was no act two. Just the attempt to solve the problem was not compelling enough to keep you interested, and you go away. So it has to be well constructed before anybody ever writes any dialogue or any of that. And then when you have that, then you apply these other technical craft skills to the big magic trick. This is called mise en scène. You may remember that term from an English or a theater class, some of you, but
mise en scène.
It's the whole, like, you don't describe an orchestra because there was the third chair trumpet player was so great. It's the whole orchestra, and how do the woodwinds and the violins and the percussion and the whatever, the brass, how do they all blend together, and the dynamics of the music. That's kind of the mise en scène. How was the sound when you were in the theater? How was the lighting? So that's the only way kind of scholars can study film, is by examining the whole. And if it didn't work, then you start to look at the component parts to see, well, what wasn't contributing on the level that it should have. And then we have these different things with cinematography, with production design, with editing, sound,
lighting.
Music. Lighting is part of cinematography, absolutely. And these things are critical creative choices. And, you know, if a filmmaker wants, when Wes Craven was making scary movies, if he wanted to scare you, he knew how to scare you right out of your chair by using all the right cinematography and editing tools and music to draw you in, set up your expectations. It's all about manipulating the audience emotions and expectations. You think this is going to happen, you're really hoping it's going to happen, and then no, it doesn't. Something else happens, and you didn't see it coming. And in a suspense thriller or a horror film, those things are very important. They're really fun to do, because what filmmakers do, the job is to interpret life's experiences for the audience and to intensify them. So it's not just a love story. It's the greatest, hottest, most compelling love story you've ever seen. It's not just a scary movie because there's a bad guy, you know, wandering the woods with a bloody hatchet looking for the teenage babysitter in the remote house.
Right.
It's the scariest, most insidious killer ever, and the most innocent, sweet victim ever, because we can intensify these life experiences, whether they're our fears or our own experiences. And so those are some of the things that we do. And I don't know, what would you like to talk about?
One of the things, what you were just saying there also, as far as how it would relate particularly to magicians, is you need to have an emotional hook. There needs to be something, I would think, in which we can actually invest or get the audience to be invested and care about what we do, rather than just being, as Michael Amar would say, bubblegum for the eyes, where you're just doing something and it's kind of fun to watch. It's a mystery and you go home and you're entertained. But you want to have something where people are talking about that because you have actually made that emotional connection, and that's what a movie does. That's what television does, I think.
Audience empathy and identification is really the key, and audiences need to make sense of things and have things be ordered. That's why when something really weird, my wife and I were watching a TV show last night, and things were happening like completely out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, are you kidding me? That's stupid. And it immediately pulls you out of the story, and you lose the through line of the dramatic tension. So in writing terms and in filmmaking terms, like let's say comedy, you have wish fulfillment and greatest fear are components. So let's take Home Alone. Wish fulfillment, I hate my brother, my family doesn't understand me, I wish I could just have this whole house to myself. Greatest fear, bad guys coming and getting him. Wish fulfillment, he's a 10-year-old boy. Wouldn't it be cool if I could beat the bad guys? Greatest fear, oh my gosh, they're real, and what happens if I fail? The entire movie is based on wish fulfillment and greatest fear. Same exact component would be, and everybody identifies with that. We were all 10 years old. We all had some of these, 10-year-old thoughts. Wedding Crashers, another movie everybody's probably seen.
Right.
Wish fulfillment. We get to go to these weddings and we get to hook up with all these beautiful women and no strings attached.
Right.
Greatest fear, having an actual, meaningful, romantic relationship with a grown-up woman. These guys absolutely feared that. Well, what they did was they took their greatest fear, and by me introducing them to the right women, suddenly their greatest fear becomes the great thing they want the most. And you realize right at the end of Act 2, Owen Wilson, the woman we think he's going to get together with, and the one we're rooting for, finds out he's a cad and he's a fake and dumps him. And he's crawls in the bottle and he's hanging around his house and he's miserable and suicidal because that was the oh shit moment. And then he has to try to recover, and he does, and that's the spoiler alert on that one. But you can see how so this is all thematic, and they say, well, how am I going to tell that theme? Well, who are the best characters that could explore that, and what would be an interesting storyline that I could put those characters through to do the wish fulfillment, greatest fear kind of exploration? And I can't tell you how many movies are based on that simple 1 or 2 sentence premise thematically. And then, it's the craft of the writing. And I keep going back to writing. And yes, I'm a writer, but I'm a filmmaker too. And the the crew can't do anything if they don't have the right script to work with. And from that, assuming that you cast the right actors with the right qualities and the things that are going to resonate, you have a production designer who creates the world of the story, physical world, by manipulating the texture, the line, the architectural space of every scene that takes place.
Are you talking about the physical props in the background and everything as well?
Oh yeah. They'll go in and paint out a house. They'll put a fake room on it. They'll change everything because their color theory is a big part of production design.
We were talking about that the other day. Talk a little bit about that color theory. I think that was interesting what you were saying about like hospital rooms and yellow legal pads.
If anybody watching this, ever took an art class or paints, colors matter. People respond to colors emotionally, which is why they spend a lot of money doing focus groups on packaging for products, because color is known as the silent salesman. They get the fraction of a second to catch your eye when you're walking down the grocery store or the drugstore aisle, and they have to grab your eye, and with the colors and the color combinations and then the fonts and all that are the thing that grab you and pull you in. Well, it's really true in life. So, legal pads were yellow exclusively for a long, long time because yellow is a stimulating color and helps you concentrate. That's why you don't have, if you're really sick, you don't go to a hospital and they have yellow or orange rooms. It's blue or green rooms because those are soothing. They actually lower your blood pressure.
Right.
Be in a room like that. If you've got a hyperactive child, you do not want to put them in an orange room because they're going to be red is a very stimulating color. It can actually accelerate your heart rate. So Darth Vader, what color does he wear?
Black, and all the stormtroopers are wearing white.
Yeah. Why is he in black? Why isn't he wearing orange or yellow or pink? Because black immediately symbolizes authority, sometimes evil. Brides, why don't they wear black? Because white in our culture symbolizes purity, innocence.
Well, the stormtroopers certainly weren't pure and innocent.
What's that?
I said the stormtroopers weren't pure and innocent.
No, but it was a good contrast, because what happens is when you set up the color palette of a movie, then it's articulated throughout the movie. So you may have a character who is full of passion, and that person might be wearing red in almost every scene. And they might be the only person wearing red among all the characters in all the scenes, because you start to associate their passion with that shirt or that jacket or that dress subliminally. And look at the movie Benjamin Button if you've never seen it. When she comes in, when what's her name comes back in his life, she's wearing red, and they walk into a restaurant together and everybody's wearing brown and she's the only one in red. And you don't notice it, but you feel it. And it sends the message, because she's a romantically aggressive towards him.
Why do you think that in Schindler's List that they had that little hint of red? Was the first, it was black and white, and then there was that red that little girl was wearing. Why do you think it was red rather than any other color?
I don't remember specifically, except the I don't even remember specifically that shot, but the movie was desaturated or black and white. And so whenever you're going to add a color, even a hint of a color, you will feel it even if you don't see it. That's the whole point. And so my daughter took a class in college on color theory, and they studied like one movie, like the whole semester, and analyzed every scene and all the art direction, the production design, and how those colors were. It was a movie, American Beauty. How that movie was constructed from an art production design and color standpoint. And it was a brilliant approach to learning this stuff. Scenic designers, production designers, graphic artists learned this very early on. And then how you position things in the frame, what lens the cinematographer uses affects how you feel about the scene. The human eye sees 50 millimeters. If you have normal vision, you see a 50 millimeter perspective. So if you shoot a scene in 50 millimeters, then it's going to resemble what the audience normally would see. So if you put a longer lens on, a telephoto lens, 75 or 100 or 150 millimeters, it compresses the world in front of and behind the person or the object you're shooting. And it instantly creates a visual tension and makes you feel differently about what you're seeing. You don't necessarily even know they're doing it. Fashion models, they like to shoot them with a 75 millimeter lens. It kind of flattens their cheekbones and makes them look more like they want them to look than they do in real life.
Sure.
Or you might shoot a scene with a 25 millimeter lens, which is wider, which sees the world more expansively, and it's not natural. We don't see the world that way. And so you instantly are affected by this change of perspective, and more things are in focus further away when you have a wider lens. And so you can manipulate the audience. And is the camera moving, or is it stationary? And is it here, or is it here shooting down, or is it down shooting up? Each one of those choices affects the emotional content of a scene. And then of course the lighting, which you mentioned. Lighting is hugely important. You don't you're not illuminating objects when you light in movies. You are revealing story and character elements for an emotional effect. They don't just, like in this room, just turn the lights on because I'm going to be doing the show with you. You light it creatively, and geez, can't you make this guy look better than he looks? Look at him, good Lord, and because even Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie, God bless them, don't look like that unless everybody works together to create the look for that character, and that's why actresses notoriously are in the makeup chair for a couple hours and getting makeup and hair every day, so they can look like the character and maybe the fantasy version of what you think they're supposed to look like.
Right. Before we wrap up over here, because again, we kind of want to make this short, just kind of a taste of what we're going to be talking about then in future weeks, which is going to be completely different. We're going to separate this from the magic. And that, someone said, great subject. They like that then too.
Thank you, Glenn.
And Sean had also said painting a violin is not a painting of an object, it's a painting of a feeling about an object. That's true. And Harriet said, that is very interesting. There was one quick question, and then we're going to wrap up over here. And that was, if I can find that, where is that? Just a second. Someone had asked, John Surgott had asked about your thoughts on the rash of story serialization on streaming services.
Sure. Well, real simply, things change. So when I was writing episodic television, we called those miniseries. You would do 6 or 8 or 10 hours, Roots and some of those big shows, and then they're over. So it's like a really long movie. Most TV weekly series were self-contained. You could watch episode 1 and then episode 5 and then episode 3, and it wouldn't really matter because it was a Magnum PI with Tom Selleck, all those shows. Didn't matter what order you saw them in because it was the story of the week. Networks hated making continuing stories, kind of soap melodrama type stories, because they couldn't air them out of order, and it was hard to syndicate them in the summer reruns because you had to air them in the right order. But that changed. Audience tastes changed, which is great. And there's all these platforms now, instead of just 3 or 4 networks. Now there's everybody's got a network and a channel and a streaming service, and it's a good way to grab somebody and then keep them with you. And people can binge watch, which nobody could do before. You'd have to, in the old days, your VHS tape, you'd have to videotape an entire season and then watch it, and then somebody put them out on tape or on DVD, and everybody thought that was amazing. Whoever thought they were going to buy old episodes that they saw for free on DVD and watch them? But,
right.
But people liked going back and looking at them again and stopping it and going, well, wait, what did he say? Let's go back. So it changed. The audience tastes have changed. And, most people now, many people, don't want to wait. What would they call appointment television? You got to wait Tuesday night at 9, and then it's appointment to watch your show. Now you just want to stream it. You want to see it when you want to see it. You want to consume.
And a lot of times they release them all at one time.
Yeah, well, that's right. They shoot them, and then they Schitt's Creek or whatever. Here's the new season, and then everybody's like binge watching everything.
Right.
Till you fall asleep in your chair, and then the next night you pick it up where you left off. And so, what do I think of it? I think it's interesting. I think it's great. It's just fascinating to see how this is all changing. The delivery systems are changing, and the people's preferences for how they consume media. It's much more democratic now. People can do what they want to do when they want to do it, the way they want to do it.
Sure, fast forward through commercials and everything.
Yeah, and so, which of course, guys like our friend Mike Leary, they work really hard, spend a lot of money making those commercials, and then people zap right through them. So what do the advertisers now have to do? How do they? Well, part of it's product placement. They stick the bottles of Coke and
well, not only that, but it's also like through YouTube and other kinds of social media where they can actually they've got people's eyes on that for a few moments, and they can quickly do 3 or 4 or 5 seconds.
Yeah. So all that world has changed.
Yeah.
They don't do 60-second commercials so much anymore because who can afford it, and nobody's going to pay attention. So maybe you can grab them in a 5 or 10 second bumper and then come back and do it again. And they're trying everything they can to get your attention, keep your attention, and it's all eyeballs on impressions, and how many impressions can we get for this amount of money? And doing these shows, it's just really interesting. And by the way, this will change, and in 5 years, this will all be completely different. And what we're talking about now will be like quaint ancient history, because there'll be some other way, we're all consuming this stuff.
Right. We're going to move on. I mean, it's just like where it was VHS or beta and VHS and then DVD and then download there. I mean, it's moving very rapidly, just like computers are, certainly. Yeah. It'll be something new and different. Yeah.
So it's really interesting just from a creative standpoint, as a storyteller. I have a story. I have something I want to say to the world, which is a real privilege. Who gets to do that? If you're working in an insurance company, you don't get to tell the world what you think about everything. And I do. And it's really cool. So what's the best way for me to get that thought, out to the world? And, if I can get that either put it into a writing assignment that someone gives me, or I can sell a show about that.
Right.
It's really interesting. There's so many places doing so many programs of various kinds, self-contained, multi-parters, whole series, soap opera, whatever. It's just kind of a wild, wild west right now, in terms of creative execution. And yet the same craftsmen, the guys that I was talking about, the cinematographer, the editor, these people, we talk about music and sound, but these guys are specialists, and they know how to wring your emotion, grab you by the throat, and pull you through the piece and make you feel what they want you to feel. And it's an ultimate manipulation. It's the ultimate magic trick. And because it is all, obviously, this is really an illusion. And it may be 45 or 50-minute long illusion, or it may be 2 hours long, or maybe 22 episodes long, but it's one big illusion. And by the way, I'll just leave you with this. The fact that some classic TV shows with men and women, where they thought they had such great romantic sexual chemistry, and in the real world, they hated each other. They couldn't speak to each other. They didn't want nothing to do with each other. But on camera, those tension vibes translated to the audience as some kind of heat. There's been a lot of those stories in Hollywood, in the movies, and especially on TV shows, where people thought that these guys must be like, in love in real life, and they couldn't stand each other in real life. And that's the magic trick. They could pull it off. The editors and all the guys, the crew and women could pull it off to deliver the ultimate magic trick to somebody where they just, oh my God, the couple's so beautiful.
Well, that was like with Lady Gaga and what's his name? That was they sang together in "Stars Born." And they had a hot scene together, and people thought, they're going to be a couple. It's like, nope. And they talked about, no, that's acting.
I mean, listen, plenty of actors.
Bradley Cooper. That's who it was.
Plenty of actors have their romantic interludes, but whether they did or not is irrelevant, because whatever that was on screen, whether they were actually romantically involved, whether they wanted to be but couldn't, whether one wanted to and the other didn't, well, who cares? It worked on screen because they're actors. Nobody really knew she was an actor, but we sure knew he was. And in his capable hands as the director as well, it was amazing what they accomplished. And you would swear they were a relationship. And when they sang on the Oscars together, oh my God, these people are in love.
There's heat. Exactly. Yeah. Listen, I need to wrap up over here because, again, I wanted to try to keep this fairly short, but you can obviously see, those of you who are watching this then right now, who have stuck around, we still have a pretty good sized crowd who has stayed on after the first part of the magic part to stay with this. And I want to, again, encourage you, if you guys enjoy this kind of a thing, we're seriously considering having something that's going to be the magic magic behind the movies. And we'll feature Tom talking about a lot of these details and answering some of your questions, and doing this on a regular basis on a Wednesday night. So like if we do the Magic and Martinis on Thursdays, on Wednesday, this will be something in which he's got just because he used to teach. Where was it? You didn't teach at UCLA. You taught film at where?
Well, I've taught as I was transitioning out of my TV career. I went into teaching. So I taught at the American Film Institute, taught screenwriting there, and at USC Film School, at Chapman University and UCLA. I wound up getting a tenured position at California State University, Long Beach, which is a really good film program. And I was there for 15 years and retired a couple of years ago from that. And I taught a little writing, but mostly film directing and TV production in that particular job. And but I have friends that, in fact, a couple of them on the faculty there, that if we do any more of these, I'll have them come on and we can do like a full deal on writing. A couple of them have written books about it. And I also taught at the University of Applied Sciences at Hamburg, Germany, a couple of times as a visiting artist, and taught about writing and directing to their film students. We have an exchange relationship with them at Long Beach.
I think, by the way, that Glenn has an idea there. Glenn Mackin said Cinemagic. I kind of like that. That's a
yeah, let's find out if it's trademarked, but it sounds good.
It sounds good. I would like to do this. I love talking with you and reconnecting after all these years. You used to come and watch me work at the Magic Castle when you were out in Hollywood then as well. And there's an episode, by the way, that I would recommend. If you guys go back to themagicwordpodcast.com and do a search for Tom Blomquist. And again, if you want to know some more information.
The Road to Hollywood.
That's right. He had some really good information that was there. Hold on. Where is this? I wanted. Oh, yeah.
What was interesting is that we were in Cantor's
Con's Deli.
Huh?
Con's Deli.
Yeah. Cantor's
Deli. Cantor's.
That was a place where Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner and all these guys, Sid Caesar, used to go every single day and have lunch, have the pastrami sandwiches, and talk about comedy and everything. So they
were actually shooting They were shooting a scene right beside us. Remember, you could hear in the background as we were talking. It's like,
and over my shoulder, they're shooting a reality show or something, in the booth behind us. And he's in Los Angeles to do the Magic Castle. We're talking about how do you have a career and stuff. And they're doing it. Literally was unfolding behind us, the thing we were talking about. But Cantor's Deli, a great place, and that was fun. And I hadn't seen you in a long time. Before that was really fun.
Yeah, that was. And so again, I would this is something I think would like to do. Again, it would be something in which the two of us can talk. You could hear more about some of the details on these kinds of things. It sounds like from some of the comments that we've been getting that we should do this. I think we can have a nice little crowd. It wouldn't necessarily be of interest to all magicians, but it would be interesting to, I think, people who are film, not just film students, but rather students of film, and students of television, because as you said, you can bring on some other people who are guests. I'd love to have our buddy Gump, Mike Leary, to come over and chat with us then as well.
Right. And there's a lot he knows for sure about that. And when you're a producer and a director or whatever, you don't pretend on a set to be an expert in each of these categories. So I can bring on a cinematographer or two, or an editor or two, and a sound person or a composer, and have them share with you some of their techniques, some of the actual, how to do it stuff. So then when you watch a movie, you're watching it. It's like learning about wine. You drink a glass of wine. Oh, it's good. It tastes great. Well, that's all you need to really know. But if you start to learn about wine, you start to really identify the levels and all the tannins and whatever. It doesn't ruin the wine experience for you, it heightens it. So, film students always get ruined for the first couple of years, because then all they do is watch movies analytically and
from a completely different standpoint. Yep.
But then you get passed through that, and when you watch something, and yes, I analyze things all the time when they go wrong. But if I watch something and I didn't pay any attention to any of these things, that they still drew me into the story, knowing what I know, that I could still get drawn in and have a satisfying experience. And then at the end, go, oh my good, that was great. You didn't notice any of this. You never know cinematography or the production design or anything. Even though you know how it's done, that's when they really pull it off. And the same thing with wine or any magic. You go to see master magician, on the main stage at the Magic Castle, if you know how he's doing 99.9% of it, but if you find yourself getting drawn into it and you don't see the man hiding behind the curtain or whatever.
That's right.
Then that magician did something.
Right.
Cool. And it's a great feeling. I know.
That's right. Another person you can maybe bring in from Walker, Texas Ranger is Chuck Norris.
I'll bring Chuck. But there's a guy, Vic Quintero, was the fight coordinator. And
Quentin Tarantino was for the Walker, Texas Ranger?
Vic Quintero.
Oh, Vic. Oh, completely different guy.
But he was the fight coordinator, and he staged all the fight scenes, and he knew martial arts, and he was probably the toughest man I've ever met. I mean, he's like solid granite, but
a lot like me.
How fights are choreographed and all. I mean, I could ask him. He does a lot of shows. He's all over the big movies and TV shows. But I could chase him down. We're still in touch, and maybe he'd come on and do this one night.
Yeah, those kinds of people I think would be kind of great. Again, just to add another dimensions, more texture, I think, to the kind of thing we want to do. Well, anyhow, I'm going to let you go over there then too. This has just been a phenomenal evening, and I want to remind everybody about Devious Thinking or Silent Partners. Again, to go to tomblumkus.com where you can find your information about the book. Please check that out. Getting it to Amazon.com. And it will it makes for some very good reading. And I say cheers to you. And I think that Scott Alexander is he still around over there? Let me see if I can bring him back on the stream. I'm Scott. I see your picture. I don't know if you're still listening over there or not. But this has been just a great evening. Had a lot of. Let's see. Did you also you do Kung Fu? You did a couple of episodes of Kung Fu, didn't you?
I wrote a couple episodes as a freelance writer.
What the hell happened to that?
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the ways the industry has changed. By the way, is there used to be a freelance universe where half the scripts on any given show would be written. And that changed.
Polygon or.
Sorry. Sounds like Scott's mic was on, but he didn't know he's on over here then right now.
Anyway, but those are the days when you could still freelance on shows. Now they're all written by the staff of writers, and it's very hard to, for them to bring someone into the family. But in those days, you had an opportunity. They saw your work, or sometimes you'd work together on something else. You could come in and write a couple episodes. So I did. That was fun. And whenever you get to kick ass, in a script, suddenly you're a 10-year-old with your baseball cap on, blowing stuff up. That A-Team was fun in that sense too. We got to blow up a lot of stuff. It was really cool.
Very cool. Tom, thank you so very much. I appreciate this, Sticks. This has been just a delightful chat. I've had a wonderful evening with not only you, but also with Puck, Scott Alexander, and Alain Nu.
Yeah, they were great.
And just a lot of great stories. And we had a lot of people who were coming in and joining us. It was great to see my buddy Jeff Hobson there, and Nick Lewin, and my son Sean, and Harriet. I mean, I don't want to leave out anybody over there. Thank you guys so very much for joining us over here then this evening. And so, yeah, Sean, it was a great evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming and listening. And perhaps, again, this is something that Sticks and I might start to do on a regular basis with your encouragement. And
the cargo hour. The clutch cargo hour. You have to shave your beard, though, so you look like Clutch again.
And his pal Spinner and Pat. You see more of my square chin over there, and my Kirk Douglas dimple over there.
Too. Second most interesting man in the world.
That's right. So I tell you, this has been again a very lovely evening. I thank you guys very much. And so we've got some other interesting guests who are going to be coming up this next week, and I'm looking forward to having them next Thursday. And this will tell you just a little bit about them. But before we leave, I want to remind everybody, if you would, to remember to go and check out this week's episode of the magicwordpodcast.com, which is number 601, which is the one that does feature Scott Alexander and Puck and Alain Nu. So some of the stories that we didn't actually get around over there. Yeah, Clutch and Sticks. That's us over there. So we thank you guys again very much. And so enjoy the podcast. Be sure to like us over there on on Facebook, as well as on, if you'll subscribe to the channel, we're going to be starting to post some of these videos then as well over there, so you can find them. So subscribe to that. That's youtube.com/Texas Magician. You can find me over there. So if you do that way, that you kind of find out what's happening from week to week, be sure to subscribe to the pod letter, all that kind of good stuff. And so until next week, I appreciate all of you guys being here. That was Scott Alexander. That was Puck. That was Alain Nu. And that was Tom Blomquist. And until then, I'm going to have to say, Scotty out.